What is up, guys, and welcome to another wrestling video. And today we are going to debut a new series on the channel called Storytime, and this is where I just tell some personal stories about my experiences with wrestling. And this is something I've been really excited to make, so I hope you guys enjoy the start of this new series. So the first Storytime segment that we're going to do is how I first started watching wrestling, and it's a really interesting story, and not a lot of people get into wrestling the same way I did, so let's just get into it. So wrestling was more or less not allowed in my house when I was growing up. When it was around 2002 or 2003, I was about 6 years old. And so that was around the time when, you know, Rock and Austin were feuding, and Rock was about to transition away from the WWE. But it wasn't allowed in my house. It wasn't allowed on the TV. But I remember one time coming home around Christmas time and turning on the TV, and it was just on SmackDown. Like, I didn't turn it to that. And Rock was cutting a promo, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I knew that was, you know, Dwayne Johnson, and that he was going to be in some movies, or he had been in some movies. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then my parents walked down, and I had to switch it off really quick. But that was all that I had really seen of wrestling for a while after that. But then one day, it was Christmas break, December 2009, and I was just channel surfing, and then I came up on Monday Night Raw. And I saw a match between John Cena and this really pasty white guy who looked probably kind of Irish, and it turned out to later be Sheamus. And they were fighting for the WWE Championship, so I was like, okay, this must be kind of a big deal. And John Cena was just killing Sheamus the entire match, and it looked like he was lifting him up on his arms, and he was about to do some crazy move, and then Sheamus grabbed the referee, and he was disqualified right as John Cena was about to pin him. And then it said that, you know, John Cena won and everything, but Sheamus was walking away with the belt. I was like, why isn't Cena the champion? Because, you know, I was a very avid sports fan. So, you know, I'm used to there being rules, and you get penalized for these things. It was like, why would they not just, you know, strip him of the championship or something like that if he's going to make contact with the official? You know, I didn't really understand. So, as any other logical sixth grader would do, I took to Facebook and asked what happened with the WWE Championship match. You know, I looked for it so hard, but I couldn't find it. But then one of my friends at the time sent me probably one of the most hilarious Facebook messages in retrospect, explaining why John Cena did not have the title, and I'll read that to you now. I was bored. John Cena won the match, but not the title because Sheamus grabbed the ref and swung across the ring. John Cena couldn't get the title because you have to win by a tap out or pin. So Sheamus grabbed the ref on purpose because John was gonna throw Sheamus across the ring. Sheamus got thrown but not pinned because the match was already over. John goes and grabs Sheamus, throws him into the ring, but Sheamus jumps and kicks John in the face twice, so Sheamus basically won the cheap shot. But really, John Cena won the championship match. And I was like, oh, thanks! So even as weirdly as that was written, I still understood it. I guess in WWE, you have to win by pinfall or submission for the title to change hands. Obviously, I understand that now, and anyone who watches wrestling even kind of avidly, even like kind of, you know, repeatedly knows that, you know, you can't win a championship by count out, disqualification, or anything like that. So, funnily enough though, he was actually one of my good friends at the time, and we went to my first WWE live event together. But fast forward to 2020, and he's getting sued by the mayor of our city for running political smear ads. So, I mean, I guess I didn't have the greatest taste of friends at the time. But anyways, I didn't keep watching wrestling right after that until I saw that the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view was going on. So I, as a sixth grader, I pulled up a stream of it on my dad's computer, and I watched it, and I was just in awe of the Elimination Chamber match. And I still love the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I think it's such a really cool concept, and I adore that pay-per-view. But obviously, in Elimination Chamber 2010, John Cena won the championship, and then Vince McMahon comes out and says, you're going to have to defend that championship against Batista. And obviously Batista, you know, plants Cena into the mat, 1, 2, 3, wins the championship, which set up the WrestleMania 26 feud, and John Cena would win by virtue of the STF, and he was the WWE champion. I remember I marked out, like, as someone who just started watching wrestling, and you know when you kind of get into it first and you have these really starry eyes with everything WWE is doing. That was so cool for me to watch WrestleMania 26. Not only did you have that awesome John Cena match that he won and I freaked out about, but you also had Edge versus Chris Jericho. You had The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, streak versus career. So that was a really awesome introduction to wrestling for me. And after just seeing how awesome WrestleMania was, I was hooked. I was instantly hooked, and I've been watching since. You know, I've kind of fallen out of a fandom. I stopped watching for a little while, and then I'll get back into it. But now I feel like I'm here to stay. I feel like it's something that I can really get into and sink my teeth into for a while. But anyways, when I was younger, I ended up going to 3 live events in my town over the span of a year or two. It was fun because I dug out all these shirts. All these John Cena shirts that I bought. Here's the one that he wore at WrestleMania 27 that I got at a live event. And here's the purple John Cena shirt right after WrestleMania 26. This was the first belt that I ever bought. You've seen that I've unboxed some commemorative belts. This is the first belt I ever bought. It was a toy spinner WWE Championship, and I actually taped it because the belt didn't spin anymore at that point. So I taped it so it wouldn't move. I think my brothers got me this DVD for Christmas, and of course I had the video games. This is TNA Impact Cross the Line, but this was actually a birthday present from my dad, and I said I also wanted the new purple John Cena shirt, and so he taped that I was getting that to the game, which was pretty cool. But yeah, and I got these games too, but it was awesome. You know, it was awesome as a kid to be totally enthralled with something like that. And you know, my brothers would sometimes make fun of me for it. It can be a bit corny, and it was especially corny at that point. But it was at a time when some of my classmates have kind of aged out of wrestling. Like some people who get into it as kids stop watching around 6th or 7th grade. But you know, that's when I first got into it. And you know, if I can say one thing about that experience is, don't let anybody shame you out of doing something you enjoy or watching something that you enjoy. If it brings you joy, you should continue to do it, no matter what other people think about it. And you know, lastly, some of my favorites that I came at that point were obviously John Cena. You know, it was the era of Super Cena, and he was still super over with kids and everything. I really liked Jeff Hardy because I started watching some of the TNA games. It's just the TNA games, some of the TNA shows, and I just loved his persona and the armbands. I had the armbands and everything. I also really started liking The Rock because I would watch some YouTube videos of some of his old hilarious promos, and that guy on the mic is probably the best to ever do it. And I also, for some reason, was a huge fan of Chris Jericho. You know, starting out when I was first starting watching wrestling, I loved all of the faces. You know, obviously, like, I was a kid, you know, you root for the good guy and everything, but for some reason, I really loved the arrogant, smug Chris Jericho character. So I was rooting for him in WrestleMania 26, even though Edge is super cool, and we all know that. But that was another guy that I was surprised at myself back then that I really enjoyed in Chris Jericho. And that's all I have for story time today. I hope you enjoyed this new type of video, and I hope you're going to tune in to the rest of this series. If you want to see more of my videos, you know, don't forget to hit subscribe down below and click the notification bell if you want to know when I'm posting new videos. And do you like these storytime videos? You know, if you do, make sure to hit that like and you'll see more of them. And leave me a comment. How did you get into wrestling? You know, what was your first memory of wrestling? You know, I love hearing these types of stories. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.